Hi, I'm Olivia.
And I'm Amy.
And this is the Girls in Marketing podcast. Every week, we release a new episode that you won't want to miss. Our guests are industry experts with amazing experiences, so you'll always come away with new nuggets of wisdom. From educational and inspiring episodes covering the latest in digital marketing to casual and fun chats with the Girls in Marketing team, unpacking marketing myths and trends, we've got it all.
Here at Girls in Marketing, we're all about empowering and supporting women to be the best marketers they can be through our online learning platform and community. Check out our resources and membership to get involved, as we'd love to welcome you to our inner circle.
Right, let's dive into an episode together. Hello and welcome back to the Girls in Marketing podcast. Today, Amy and I are joined with Becca and Megan, who are two of our very own Girls in Marketing members. They're here to talk all about professional development and generally a career in marketing. So welcome, both of you.
Thank
so lovely
you.
to have you.
Thank you for having us.
So I want to kind of start because we hear so many stories about different careers in marketing, people getting into marketing in different ways. So I don't know, Becca, if you want to talk about your kind of how you got into marketing and where you are now.
Yeah, of course. So mine is the classic tale of fell into it, really. So when I was at sixth form, I decided that I wanted to pursue like a psychology degree and sort of go into mental health nursing and that kind of avenue. But instead of going straight to uni and doing the traditional route, I decided to take a gap year and just work and get a little bit of career experience, really. And within that year, I kind of fell into a social media administration sort of role. And I kind of come to realise that that was where my strengths lie. You know, I felt quite confident in what I was doing. I enjoyed learning about it. And then it kind of opened doors to more marketing related roles, like concentrated roles. And someone I went to school with, he basically said that they had this digital marketing role going at his company. They'd never employed anyone in marketing before. So it was like a first for me, a first for them. And it kind of just fell into it, really. And then from that, I decided, right, this is what I'm going to stick with. And since then, I've done a CIM qualification and I'm about 4 years down the line now. So it's kind of been and gone, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of fell into it and it just turned out to be right for me.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that is the case with a lot of our community. With me as well. I fell into marketing, went to uni, did a degree, wasn't in marketing, fell into working in it, and kind of have had a similar career path to you in the sense of just kind of roles have come up and I've taken them and found that it was something I was super passionate about and good at, and yeah, it's just kind of evolved from there. So we do hear that story quite a lot, so it's interesting to know that that's kind of the route that you've taken as well. I don't know what your kind of career path into marketing's look like, Megan?
So I think mine's maybe a little bit unusual. The whole world of business was never something that I ever thought about. My entire high school career was aimed towards getting into teaching.
Oh, wow.
So to do that, I took part in every single extracurricular I possibly could, just try and build up kind of my application towards teaching. And I did actually start teaching. I went to the University of Glasgow and I was doing their Masters of Education with primary teaching qualification degree. And I dropped out really quickly. But in my head, I was like, no, I've been working my whole high school career to get into teaching. So I was like, right, I'll go to Queen's University in Belfast. I'll stay at home. I'll do theology and English and then become an RE, an English teacher. I then dropped the theology part and then continued with straight English. And I was in my second year of English and I was kind of like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. So, and I kind of didn't really know what to do. And I was just on I was on YouTube one day and it came up like one of those day in life, and it was the day of life of a marketing executive or manager, whatever it was. I was like, what is this? So I just clicked in. I'd never heard of marketing before. I kind of heard about business, finance, accounting, never ever heard of marketing. And I watched the video and it really, really resonated with me. I was like, I do all this stuff voluntarily. I do social media, I do events, I do so much voluntarily. And I was like, there's a job. There's a job in something that I actually enjoy.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went on a whim and applied for the master's degree in marketing at Queen's and I loved it. And I just kind of found my calling.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Literally, like, and I think it's so brave that, like you say, you'd kind of built your, you know, everything that you did throughout school and going to university up towards this particular career, to then actually say, this isn't right for me, I don't want to do it. It's really brave. And, you know, it's not something that, you know, everyone would be willing to do, but just to find your career through a YouTube video, it shows that things like that they can be impactful, and they can have a real kind of effect on people. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was similar as well, because I didn't know marketing was like a thing for ages. I don't know if people do now, or if it was just like my lack of experience and knowledge of like other things in the world. But I was similar to you, Megan, where it was like I knew of like, you know, law and accountancy and all these like very official big jobs, but for me, I never knew marketing was a thing. I actually heard about it through my partner, who was in, at the time, web development, and he was working for like a marketing and web development agency, and he didn't go to uni, so he went straight from school. He did like IT stuff, and then he got into web development. And he said to me, he was like, you know, you can like make money from writing. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I used to love writing. And then he was like, yeah, you can make money from it. Like this, it's marketing. So it's like kind of like advertising, but then it like kind of explains it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And then from there, I kind of like, you know, started my marketing journey, which is crazy. I feel like for all of us maybe here, like it has just been like, oh, this is a thing I can do. Like, okay, I'm going to try it and do it, and then just kind of like fell into it and loved it, which is amazing. And I think that, for me, it was, I didn't even know it existed before. I
always find it so interesting, you know, when people go to uni and do marketing, like they've gone from school and they go to do marketing, because I'm always like, when I was leaving school, I did not know it was a thing. Like I'd heard of it, but I think I had that common misconception that really infuriates me now, that marketing is advertising, and like they're not one and the same, and advertising is kind of a part of marketing and stuff. But yeah, when people go to uni to do marketing, I'm like, what information were you given when you were at school that you knew that was an option? Because I certainly didn't get it. I knew of like business, or I studied economics, or I studied like these other kind of disciplines that were kind of, obviously marketing can come under business, and I know there's a lot of marketing modules in like business related degrees, but I wouldn't have known enough about marketing to do a degree in that in and of itself. So I find it so interesting when people actually do. It wasn't until I'd finished my degree that I actually kind of fell into it and was like, oh, this is a thing.
I think it probably is that like social media aspect of marketing now. Because I did a talk at school a while ago, and I went in and I was like, so who knows like what social media is? They were all like year 7s and year 8s, and everyone was like, obviously I know what it is. But I was like, oh, okay. Because I think a good few years ago, when social media just came about, it was all adults on it, wasn't it? It wasn't like you've got TikTok and all this stuff now, and the kids were like, oh I know what TikTok is, I know what Instagram is. And they're like, why do you do that as your job? And then so I think kids know it from social media. Obviously, as we know, marketing isn't just social media, but I think that's possibly why maybe none of us had that journey with marketing, but now potentially people are a bit more. But I want to talk a little bit about kind of progressing in your career and kind of upskilling and stuff, because I know it's something that you both do, obviously actively within our membership, but just kind of in general. I know, Becca, you've done a CIM as well, and you've done a master's, Megan. So what type of skills do you think have been kind of most important for you both within your career so far when it comes to marketing and stuff like that?
I think creativity is definitely up there. Like you have to have a creative mindset, and you have to be proactive as well. I think in a lot of cases, marketing, it's kind of balanced in that you have to be as proactive as you do reactive. So I think having that mindset of, I've got a plan, I'm going to stick to it. I have a strategy, this is it, but I'm also going to be flexible on that. And I think that's where the reactive element comes in. But I think also you do have to have a little bit of resilience as well, because there are a lot of people in the industry that claim to be experts and claim to know it all. And I think with a fast-paced industry like marketing and like social media, it's hard to know it all, because it's every day it's changing. I'd say they're my two, is being resilient and being creative. For sure.
They're definitely super important.
Not everyone knows anything anyway. I know people make out possibly like they do, but they don't. No. So I think it's about knowing that, what you see on social media, it's that age-old tale, isn't it? What you see on social media is not true.
No, like it's not everything.
No,
it's not.
Exactly. And I think for me, the main one is when you see people who claim to just be experts in marketing, like as a full discipline. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm calling you out on that, because there's no way. Okay, if you're you're claiming to be an expert on a particular area, paid social or SEO or kind of data and analytics and stuff, okay, potentially you've got, like real skill and knowledge in that, and you could be kind of classed as an expert, but you might be awful at some of the other stuff, or just not awful, but not have any knowledge. But when people are just kind of like, I'm an all-round marketing expert, I'm like, I do question that. That's because possible. It's just so broad, isn't it? I mean, it's like any discipline, isn't it? Any career. If you're a lawyer, you're not going to be an expert in every field of law. If you're a doctor, you're not going to be able to do all elements of kind of, doctoring. I don't know what the word is for that. But yeah, I think definitely it's taking everything with a pinch of salt, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. But they're definitely important skills to have.
What type of skills have you picked up?
I would think the most important would be adaptability, because I feel like, especially if you're working in a smaller company where you're going to kind of have to do a bit of everything, and one day you maybe are focusing on social content, the next day you're focusing on website, or maybe your company's decided to change from WordPress to Squarespace or whatever it is. You have to be able to upskill and learn these new things really, really quickly. So I think adaptability, and then also confidence. So just kind of saying yes to learning opportunities and saying yes to opportunities. And for example, even for this podcast, my brain told me, no, that's scary. But my response was, yes, let's do it. Make it till you make it, and just kind of try to be confident, adaptable, and just taking everything and running with it.
No, amazing. Definitely. Totally agree. So kind of similar to that then, and off the back of what you've both said, if somebody were to be listening to the podcast and wanted to get into marketing, or was maybe in a similar position to either of you, or in kind of the position that you were in, Megan, that they maybe wanted to go down a particular career route, or is kind of in a particular career, but they're like, this isn't right for me, I want to change, I want to get into marketing. What advice would you both kind of give to someone who wants to do that? What kind of things would you suggest that they could do, skills that they could develop? How would you suggest that they might go about that?
I would say research any kind of like volunteering opportunities that are in and around your area. If you're, say, like a young person, maybe in your like 20s or however old you may be, I think getting your foot in the door and maybe just volunteering one day a week just to get the exposure. I think any kind of exposure and experience is worth your while, and I think online courses as well, there's so many out there. I mean, you look at all of the materials on Girls in Marketing, it's never ending, and because there's always new things coming out within the marketing industry, you'll always be learning something new every day. So yeah, I would definitely say look around for some volunteering opportunities and take the time to grow your knowledge and grow your skill set. Because again, you can teach skills, but if you have like a can-do attitude and a positive attitude, a lot of employers will like that, and they'll take you on.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Megan, what kind of would you say, similar to Becca, or any other bits of advice?
I would say kind of, you're never too old to change your career. I see a lot of people in their early 20s saying, oh no, I've done this, I have to stick to it. No, you don't. You can change at any point. You can change whenever you're 40. You can go back to uni at any age. So definitely, I think my first piece of advice is you can change at any age. It doesn't matter what you've done before. And I think in terms of trying to find out if it's right for you is go on social media, go on YouTube, kind of look into what it's about. Do you think it's something you would enjoy? Or look at your past experience of in school or in university, or any sort of voluntary work you've done, or within your actual job. Is there any aspects of it that maybe relates into marketing, and did you enjoy it, and do you think that's something you want to pursue before maybe jumping and maybe it's not right for you? But
yeah, I'd agree on that as well. Like, definitely only do it if it's right for you. I think nowadays you see a lot of people on TikTok going, oh, marketing is like the easiest job that you can do, and
make 10 figures a month.
And it's just like, where are they getting this idea from? Like it can be hard, and I think you've got to want it. And I think once you do find your niche in marketing, I think you'll end up loving it, and it won't feel like a job. I think that's the one thing I really enjoy about my job, is that I go in knowing that every day is going to be different, and I've got like a good team around me that support me and motivate me. And I think once you find that, it makes your career so much more enjoyable and kind of like clear as well.
100% agree on that. And kind of speaking of niche and finding the part of marketing that you love, quick fire, what would you say is your favourite area of marketing, or kind of the bit of marketing that you enjoy most?
I think I have two areas.
That's allowed.
Okay. Thanks. So I definitely say social media management, more so because that's kind of the area that I have most experience in. That's kind of where I started. It's a bit like my bread and butter.
Yep.
But in the past sort of 9 to 10 months when I started my most recent job, I've had exposure into PR and events. And I really enjoy that. I really enjoy speaking to people and going to these events and being with just different kinds of groups. And it's really interesting to me when I'm in that kind of environment, because I'm not only teaching someone something about a product or a service, I'm also testing my own knowledge. And it's like, wow, I actually know more than I think. And it's sort of that like proud moment of, okay, I have the confidence to speak to someone and challenge myself and be in an environment that I never thought I could be in. So yeah, I'd say those two.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And it's so lovely that, you know, there's still that core kind of part of marketing that you really enjoyed and loved from the beginning, and the reason that you got into it, but you're also evolving throughout your career and kind of getting into other areas and starting to enjoy those as well. So that's really good. And what about you, Megan?
I think I'm the same with social media. Social media is definitely my favourite area, because as much as I work full-time, part-time, I freelance social media management, and that just allows me to do extra of what I enjoy. I think you have to enjoy it whenever you're working 9 to 5, and then evenings and weekends you're still working. So I definitely enjoy that, and the whole content creation that comes with social media and talking to clients and seeing kind of where they want their brand to go and working with colours. I was always that person in school, the presentation has to look good. I think that's just kind of carried through into social media.
Yeah, amazing. How do you find that kind of balance in the full-time and the freelance? Obviously, I know you say that kind of really enjoying what you do makes it doable. You know, it's probably not sustainable if you don't enjoy it and you feel like it's a chore. But how have you kind of found that you manage and balance your time doing both?
I make sure not to overload myself with clients, so I only have 3 at the minute, and that's kind of perfect at the minute. Was like 2 of them are kind of new, 1 of them I've been with like a few months now. So not trying to bring on loads and loads of clients and then you are working till like 2 a.m. every night.
Yeah,
because I still love going out and seeing my friends, going out for dinners, going out the weekend. So I have my 3 that keeps me busy enough in the evenings, a couple hours a week per client. And if I ever have to, like, say, travel with my full-time job or have to do overtime, time management is key. So I try to get content created a month in advance. Obviously things can change and whatnot, but I try to stay as ahead as I kind of can.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. Definitely time management as a marketer is important, isn't it? I think we all probably feel that.
And I think when I was kind of working freelance, I had like when I was doing it as kind of a full-time thing, I had like so many, and I had to actually cut down a few people because it was just like too many at once. But I think when you kind of get into freelancing, it can seem great because it's like, oh, all these people want to work with me, but actually it's like, it's better to have, you know, a stable amount, like, you know, 3 or 4 or something like that, where you can say, actually, this is how many I'm going to work with, and I'm going to kind of continue with that rather than overloading yourself, because you're only kind of letting yourself down really as well, aren't you, if you're not able to manage your time properly. But I want to talk a little bit about professional development, because I know that's something that you're both kind of quite passionate about, and I know that as well it's something that is not always at the top of people's priority list. Like when you think about professional development, it's like, oh, I've got a full-time job, or oh, a freelance, or oh, I've got all these different things, and I want to have a social life, and I want to be healthy, and I want to do all of these different things. And it's like, how do you actually make time for, you know, professional development? I think that's a big issue for a lot of people. But what would you say has been kind of key for you both with, you know, working on your professional development, and how have you found managing working on your professional development and everything else?
I think if you have an employer that promotes self-development, that is one of the biggest helps, because then you can say to them, there's a course I really want to do, or can I take a couple hours a month out to do this course, or would you be able to kind of fund maybe a bigger course if it costs money and you maybe don't really have the spare cash to kind of pay for it yourself. I think that can be a really, really big help, and I have had employers that do that, and it's so good. Outside of that, the internet is your friend. There's so many free resources. So you have YouTube, you have social media, you have so much stuff, and then there are kind of the cheaper alternatives. So the Girls in Marketing membership is not that expensive whenever you look at it, how much you get from it. So trying to kind of go in all angles maybe. So through your employer, through kind of the free material that's available online, and then memberships like Girls in Marketing.
Yeah, I'd probably piggyback on all of those points, really. Those are the ones I was thinking of too. I would say the only other thing that could work with personal development is that if you know someone within the industry that could expose you to some like businesses or clients, or, you know, even resources themselves that they pay for that you might not be able to afford. Like anyone around you that can give you any kind of guidance and advice is your friend. But I would definitely say like the Girls in Marketing membership was probably the best investment I made in my career. Like back a couple of years ago, it was like the best thing.
We're not paying her to say that.
No, yeah, this is all off my own back, I swear.
Disclaimer.
But it was like genuinely because where I worked before, I was the only person in marketing, so I didn't have anyone to like bounce ideas off of. So, you know, having those quick chats, like an hour a month, really helped me kind of brainstorm with people that I didn't necessarily know, but were in the industry and got it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And I think that professional development doesn't have to look a certain way. And like you say, Becca, if it is that your professional development is more meeting others in the industry and using their advice and their support that they're willing to give, you know, whether it's kind of like through community like Girls in Marketing, or whether it's just expanding your own network, using people that you know to kind of use those opportunities and learn from them, that is professional development as well. It's, you know, you investing time into learning from others, into kind of seeking advice, and definitely is so important, especially when, like you say, you're working in a small marketing team or a one-person marketing team. And, you know, a huge thing about marketing is being able to kind of share ideas and, you know, consult people on things and gain inspiration from others. And sometimes it just can feel like you can't do that if you're on your own. So definitely feel like I really relate to that. And I think we've probably all had similar times when we've felt a little bit like we just want other people to bounce ideas off. So yeah, totally agree with that.
I think that was one of the first reasons I started Girls in Marketing in the first place, was because I was in a team and there was other people in the marketing team, but I felt like just no one got my energy. So it was kind of like, I want to share and bounce ideas off people, but actually the people that I'm working with, they're great and they know what they're doing and they're really good at their jobs, but no one was like matching my energy, where it was like, you know, get up and go, we got that attitude. And I think that for me was like a key part of my professional development, was like acknowledging that actually, like, you know, I need to surround myself with people who are kind of more similar, which is hence why I kind of built the brand. And then from that, I think we've attracted our audiences, kind of like people that I wanted for in the first place, which is really great. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely so important to kind of focus on professional development from all angles, as you said, Megan. You know, it's not always going to work for you. You know, there's so many resources and so many things to do, but not everything works for everyone. So finding out and figuring out what works best for you is really important. And I was going to ask about ways that you would personally develop, but I feel like we've already covered that.
Yeah, I feel like we've definitely covered that off. Kind of for me then, off the back of talking about professional development and stuff like that, that's very much something that all marketers in some capacity can take the initiative to do if they want to. Kind of thinking about barriers or challenges that kind of marketers can face in their careers, whether it's, you know, in relation to professional development, whether it's in relation to progressing in their careers, whether it's in relation to having to balance doing a load of different kind of, you know, roles and responsibilities as a marketer. What would you say from your experience are kind of some of the biggest challenges that you think people in marketing can face, whatever it may be? And have you kind of experienced any of those yourselves, and what have you sort of kind of done to overcome them?
I think as much as like there are so many resources out there and so much information, I think sometimes there can be a little bit too much information and it can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to give an example, I've subscribed to quite a few newsletters. So the first thing that I do every morning is I come in and I sit down with a cup of coffee and I go through my emails, and I've just got like a newsletter that I'm skim reading. And it's really helped me to kind of understand what are the most up-to-date trends and little things like that. But I was looking through the other day and I thought, wow, 10 newsletters, that's actually quite a lot to be subscribed to. So, you know, it's knowing what to... how do I put this? It's like knowing what to take on, but also when to give yourself a bit of a break. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so easy to get lost in the amount of updated trends that are on TikTok and the updates on Instagram and, you know, wanting your post to trend on LinkedIn. And it's just all of these comparisons that I think you can make with other people, like who knows more. So I definitely say, like, don't overwhelm yourself with too much information and go at your own pace as well. Like if you don't find reading something every morning is the way that's going to stimulate your brain, don't do it. Just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean that you have to. Like find what works for you. And I think that kind of leads me on to the next point of like, don't compare yourself to other people, because we're all growing at our own paces, at our own rates. You know, some people have been in the industry 10 years, but only just now understanding like the ropes of social media, because it wasn't really a thing 10 years ago that people really concentrated on and specialized in. So I think definitely just appreciate your journey for what it is and go at your own pace.
Definitely. And yeah, I think I totally agree about the kind of excess information sometimes. You know, things come in from all different angles, from, you know, through all sorts of different mediums. And I think that was something that I was kind of susceptible to early in my career, was wanting to know as much as possible, wanted to be like this sponge. So I'd subscribe to newsletters, listen to podcasts, watch videos, do courses. And it was kind of like, actually from doing that, I found that I learned what my best learning style was, what actually I felt I was absorbing and what I was just reading because I felt like I had to. And so I kind of did a bit of a cleanse of that sort of stuff and kind of really tried to narrow down and hone what I felt benefited me, and then stuck to that as kind of my, you know, my source of marketing information. And it does help you to feel less overwhelmed because, you know, like you said, Becca, there's always something new that you can learn. There's always somebody who'll know more about a particular issue or a particular topic in marketing than you, and accepting that is a huge thing. And I think definitely that's something that I learned to do, and then just really narrowed down my sources of information that I felt really resonated with me. I felt like I absorbed them well. I could dip in and out of them when I needed. They were always there. They were, you know, really well kind of formulated and that sort of stuff. And that was kind of my thing. So I definitely agree that sometimes that can make you feel like you're not doing well when you're kind of you're overloaded with too much.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, just to answer that and sort of piggyback on what you're saying as well, I think it's so easy to look at people that you work with and go, oh, like, I want to be in their position. I want to know what they know. But then you look at where they started when they were your age, potentially, or, you know, maybe they decided to do a career change and went into marketing a little bit later on in their life. Like, everyone's on their own journey, and it's okay to not know something. It doesn't mean that you're like a bad marketer or a bad person or whatever you may deem yourself to be, because one day you will be in that position and you'll look at someone that is now in your position and go, like, they'll get there.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that it's actually quite a nice thing to appreciate your own journey, but also, you know, help others around you as well to get to where you all want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you're employed to do and know what you know, right? So even though we're looking at these people, maybe someone who's more senior or has been in the role for longer, and thinking, oh, I wish I was where they are and I wish I knew what they know. They may well be thinking, I wish I knew what they know. Maybe you're kind of, you know, younger, and so maybe have got kind of a different way of looking at things, different ideas. Maybe you're working in an area that they don't focus on or they've moved out of, and so you're more up to date on certain area, you know, certain things in that area than they are. And they're probably looking at you and thinking, wow, they've got like really great detailed knowledge on that thing that I feel like I don't anymore, and I'm focusing on this other thing. So yeah, we're all kind of employed to know our own stuff, aren't we? And I definitely think that's definitely something that we need to all bear in mind when comparing. And what about you, Megan? Would you kind of echo what Becca said about some of the challenges? Is there anything else that you've sort of faced in your career?
I think one of the biggest things to overcome is that kind of stereotype of marketing is easy.
Yeah.
Because what I find kind of happens is people assume it's easy.
Yeah.
Including business owners. And then you're very much undervalued, underpaid. You might be the only person in marketing within your team. And that can be really hard to overcome, because I feel like at the start I almost took it in as, oh, it must be easy if everyone's saying it's easy. Like, why are something challenging? Everyone's telling me it's easy, it must be. And I kind of got into my own head of, oh no, like only one person is needed to do all this, but it's completely wrong. So I think whenever you're starting out and you're being told this, it kind of sticks with you. And then trying to overcome that is really, really difficult. And then trying to then explain to your bosses that you need these resources, or maybe you're being really underpaid and you're trying to be like, you know, like the UK average for this particular job is X, and people just don't get it. And it can be really, really hard to kind of overcome that, and I have experienced that.
Yeah, honestly, marketing is so undervalued. Like, genuinely, I obviously have a lot of kind of one-to-ones with members, and I know as well from my own experience, but it's quite sad. Like, when you think about, I've heard stories from people and they're like, you know, my boss doesn't value it, or they think, you know, they're giving me all these other tasks, or, you know, I'm in this marketing role, but I'm not actually doing any marketing. They think it's like sales or something like that. And it's like, I don't know, because obviously I am aware of marketing, so I'm not under that impression, but it's just crazy, isn't it, when you think of business owners or big businesses that just don't value marketing. And I think it's just so damaging, like, to them, because what happens is, you know, they say, oh, well, get a marketer in, and then they kind of, as you said, Megan, they underpay them. They're not able to give them the support that they need, and then they're just kind of sat there like, I don't know what to do, and you know, I'm not sure. Which is why I think, you know, having these conversations with people, you know, within communities like Girls of Marketing, and kind of saying like, you know, what's your experience? And I had someone talked to me the other day, like a member, and she was saying, you know, I really enjoy what I do, I love my job, but my boss just doesn't value like marketing, and I'm a one person team, I'm expected to do all of these different things, and you know, I only work part-time, and I'm expected to do like full-time and potentially like a team's amount of work. And she was just like, what do I do? And I think, you know, after our conversation, she went away and she was like, you've told me what I already know, but it just makes me like feel so much better about it, and this is how I can go away and I can do it. So I think it's nice to have that sounding board, because so many businesses and business owners don't value marketing as much as they should.
And it's never a marketer who's saying how easy marketing is. It's always someone who's never done marketing. And you almost feel like saying to the business owners or the whoever, like, okay, you do it for a week, then you do it for a bit. Because it's like the value that they place on it is down here, and yet the outcomes and the expectations that they expect from you are up here. And it's kind of like, you know, it's never necessarily given the budget that it should have. You're not given the time or the additional resource or anything to do everything that's expected of you. And I agree totally with what you say, Megan, about if you're first starting out as a marketer and that's your first experience in marketing, you then convince yourself, well, they're saying that this is a job for one person, so I should be able to do all of this. And therefore you feel that you're not performing, you feel you're not able. And actually it's really unfair. And probably, I think a lot of marketers early in their careers have experienced that to some degree, of that, you know, knock-in confidence of, I should be able to do email marketing, social media marketing, you know, write content for website, do all of this sort of stuff and manage it all within my 9 to 5. Whilst also not really being that experienced. And it's just like, it's...
Whilst also getting 4 million followers.
And going viral every day, and, you know, increasing your website traffic, and, you know, converting leads for the sales team and doing all of this stuff. And it's like, it's not realistic expectations. And I think for me, the thing that I've learned kind of as I've got like kind of progressed throughout my career is that expectations that are set for you by people who haven't experienced the job that you're doing are generally quite unrealistic. You know, if you're managed by someone who's a marketer and knows the challenges of marketing and knows what kind of time something takes and how much skill and experience something takes, generally those kind of expectations that they set you will be more realistic, and it's better to work for someone like that. So yeah, if anyone listening is in the position where maybe they're, you know, kind of feeling like a lot is expected of them and maybe their manager doesn't really understand, then, you know, you're definitely not alone.
I'd say as well, like the best thing I ever did for myself and my career was go to a company where there was a marketing manager, because it completely opens your eyes to what is expected of you, and like you said, like the challenges that you face, and, you know, allow them to open doors with you, not for you. And I think it just completely changes your mindset and how you feel about your capabilities when you're around someone that gets it. I think, you know, similar to what you girls just said there about being told that it's easy by people that don't do marketing, have never done it, and they look at it so black and white, and it's like, you know, you can't expect one person to do a 10-person job. It's not realistic, but they don't see it like that.
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced it. I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it as well. And it can be quite disheartening sometimes as well, because then you start questioning your own capabilities, and it's like, I didn't study for 2 years to question where I am today. You know, it's not, that's not fair. So I definitely say surround yourself with people that get it and want to support you, because it will massively grow you and your career and your confidence.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
I think that another angle kind of where it's undervalued is kind of employers maybe don't know what they need. Like they kind of be like, okay, so we need stuff advertised, we need stuff on social, we need stuff on websites, we'll hire people to do it. There's one time I was headhunted, and it was through my LinkedIn, and it was a prestigious jeweller over in Northern Ireland, and they had a marketing team of about 3 people, and they wanted to bring in somebody new. And they came to me through my LinkedIn. We had about 4 or 5 phone calls where they explained to me the role, their expectations of me, what I'd be doing, etc. Final phone call came to, so what sort of payment would you expect for this role? And I told them my expectations. I could hear them on the phone being like, well, why do you expect that? It's like, well, that's the UK average for that job role. And you have a team. Like, I was really, really confused as to why they didn't understand like the basic pay around kind of the job roles and what they should have been. It was really, really strange. So it's like another angle of it where you're undervalued, underappreciated, underpaid. And I think it's all just from misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Because whenever I said, well, that's UK average, he didn't know what to say back.
Yeah.
Because clearly he didn't know.
Yeah. And I think that misinterpretation as well, you know, people are like, oh yeah, we could really do with some social media, or we could do with some website. Yeah, we'll just get one marketer. And then that's what happens, I think, is that people don't understand what it is the first issue. And then when you have someone come in potentially who's maybe not had an experience before, so if they're, you know, fresh out of university, or maybe they, you know, it's their first step on the career ladder, you don't really have any like experience in the working world, and then, you know, you're hired as a 1-person team. You know, I've heard of stories like that from people in our community before, and then it's like, okay, you're expected to do all of these different things and know what you're doing, but actually you don't necessarily, which obviously, as you said, Becca, it's always good to have like, you know, a marketing manager or someone who's kind of more senior. But obviously it's not necessarily possible for everyone. So I think it's also potentially why the benefit of Girls in Marketing as well is that, you know, people can talk to us, or, you know, if you come to any of the events that we do, you know, virtual ones or in person, you can talk to people and kind of relate and get some advice and stuff. And I know recently with one of our Manchester meetups, we were all like chatting about, you know, the struggles of marketing and stuff like that, because that's always something that I think all marketers get, don't we? You know, when you're saying, oh, whatever, and it's
very
like,
relatable.
Yeah, it's very relatable. But yeah, so to lighten the mood a little bit, if you were to leave your current job and go and work for like another brand or something like that, what brand and what role would be your kind of ideal? I feel like it's a really difficult question, this one.
Yeah, and obviously we're not saying that you are going to leave your current role. Just if you had to.
Yeah, if my manager watches this, I'm not going anywhere, by the way.
But what's your like dream brand to work for?
Oh, I would probably say, and just because they have been all over my LinkedIn recently, I would probably say Gymshark. Not because I'm a massive gym goer, by the way. Like, I don't really go to the gym that much, but I just really appreciate their morals and their values, like their whole diversity and inclusivity kind of values and ideas. It really shines through their social media and their presence. Like, I don't know if either of you girls have been to their new London store. I can't remember who it was, but someone in their creative team basically designed mannequins that were so diverse, and it was, you know, people with disabilities and in wheelchairs and, you know, people like that. And it was just amazing to see a brand that are so big on fitness and health really, you know, show off that not everyone's the same. Not everyone that is interested in fitness and health will look the same or be the same.
Absolutely.
And I think I'd love to be part of the creative team. I'd love to just like pick the brains of the people that were behind that. It would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a super big
Super
Gymshark
fan
fan.
over
here. Yeah.
Big Gymshark fan. And I agree. And I think for me, I mean, I've never really worked in influencer marketing. I've kind of worked in like partnership side of stuff, but not really kind of in like that in typical influencer marketing. But I really like the way that Gymshark do their influencer marketing because they kind of they have like brand ambassadors who like they're kind of part of a Gymshark family. Like you really identify that person and their values and their morals with Gymshark the brand, and it doesn't feel, to me, I don't think their influence marketing feels super transactional. It's not like, okay, Gymshark have paid me to say this is great, here you go, like buy it, now I'm done with it. They really live and breathe Gymshark, and I just think the way that they've built that kind of type of influencer program is great, and I totally agree. I'd like to work for Gymshark as well. I'm not leaving, don't worry, Liv. What about you, Megan?
I think it'd be a toss-up between kind of two. One of the big tech companies probably would be, I think that's like always somebody's dream, is like Apple or Google to reach out and be like, come work for us. Probably just from kind of Google being one of those companies that like the internship came out and all there, and everyone sees their offices and it's meant to be an amazing place to work.
Snacks.
And free snacks. You can bring your dog to work. They call it a doogler. I want a doogler. I want to bring my dog to work.
Wait, what's a doogler?
Your dog?
Yeah,
whenever you bring your dog to work.
So the dog's called the doogler?
Stop.
I love that. No, that's so good.
So like all those kind of reasons, I think that would be amazing. Just even to say, like, I work for Google, I think it'd be so cool. And then the flip side would be Disney. I live, breathe Disney, Pixar, Marvel. It is just my biggest pastime. I love it. My bed's covered in like little Disney teddies. Disney's one of those companies that I started watching whenever I was probably a toddler, and it stayed with me. I love all the movies.
Yeah. No, I think I would love to work for Disney as well. I would love to work for all of those brands, I think, definitely. Yeah. It's like the really big brands that have like loads of budget that are able to like get the free snacks and, you know, have the slides. And I think it's like Google or something that has like a slide in their office. I'm like, who would even use a slide? But
me.
I want to use it. Literally. And also, if you didn't work in marketing, this is another big question, what would your dream job be?
It can be anything. It doesn't even have to be realistic.
Yeah.
What would you love to do?
I'd probably say if I did go down the original route of psychology, I would probably say mental health nurse. Definitely.
That's quite realistic.
Yeah.
I was thinking like singer or something.
Oh God, I wish I had the voice for that. No way. I'd definitely say, now I'm thinking about it, mental health nurse, just because I'm quite a big advocate for mental health, and, you know, mental health being as important as physical health, and people talking about it as well. And I think the more awareness that there is, the more comfortable people will feel about being open and honest. You know, it's not abnormal nowadays to have mental health. I don't like problem's the wrong word, but you know what I mean, like, you know, differences, I suppose. So I think any way that I can help people that are experiencing those kind of difficulties, I think would be really good. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Nice.
It's really inspirational. My answer is just not going to live up to that. I absolutely love animals, and I love dogs specifically. So absolute dream job would be like doggy daycare or something.
Oh yeah,
that would be amazing. And if not that, like Rich Housewife specifically in like Beverly Hills in the sun, like with your pool.
Yes,
that would be my second choice as well.
To both of those things, 100%. So I always used to think when I was younger, I never used to get it when people would be like, I love animals, I want to be a vet, because I grew up with pets and stuff, but my experience of having to take them to the vet was always like, I would hate to do what you have to do. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate vets and they're great, and like, you know, the people who, you know, train to do it are amazing, but I always used to think that would be my worst nightmare as an animal lover. I'd feel like doggy daycare or something, where it's just all the fun and all like the playtime, and then that'd be amazing.
There's never a pleasant experience. Your dog doesn't like the vet.
Well,
they'll see the vet that did something bad, and they're like, oh, they're scared of them.
My cat. When my cat, that crate comes out to go to the vet, and he's gone. Like no chance.
He's run.
So I agree. What would out of interest, Liv? What would you do if you could do something else? Yeah.
I don't know.
Putting you on the spot now.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I would do actually.
No.
My dream job is what I do now.
Oh, love that. Mine would be interesting.
I actually don't know. I would have to think about that and come back to it.
Fair enough. I'll ask you in the next episode.
What about yours?
Well, very unrealistic, more unrealistic than any of these things. I danced when I was younger, and I loved dance.
She always talks about how she danced.
I was a dancer, but didn't pursue it, didn't get far enough to do what I would love my dream job to do, but I would have loved to have been like a West End dancer.
I would probably have to agree.
Yeah.
Not a dancer though,
but
just like
West End performer. I mean, to be fair, if I could go really out on a limb, I'd love to be like just a West End performer, but I cannot sing a note. So that was, I think, for me, what always, when I was younger, got me down about it, because I wanted to be like the main person. I wanted to be like the main person in the West End shows, but you never are if you can only dance. You're always like part of the ensemble, and I was like, I wasn't good enough for that either, don't get me wrong. So, but I would have loved to have done that, perform.
Well, before we go off on more of a tangent, I will end this episode. But thank you so much for coming in today. It's been so lovely to have a chat with you. And thank you all for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. Obviously we've chatted all about kind of professional development, both Becca and Megan's kind of career journeys. Hopefully it's been enjoyable to listen to, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of the Girls in Marketing podcast. We love hearing from you, so if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review to let us know your thoughts, and make sure you hit the subscribe or follow button to be the first to hear when our new episodes released. Don't forget, if you want to get involved with Girls in Marketing, check out our membership to join our incredible community of marketers. Think marketing resources, courses, webinars, and more. Find out more on our website or drop us a message on any of our social channels @Girls in Marketing.